is Ellie, the Empress here. Alright, so we're still on the topic of education. Like I said, the turn of this channel is not necessarily turning anywhere, it's intensifying the aspect of where it is we are going and what ways are we changing the mass outlook of how we're integrating what it is, not necessarily what we believe, but the I'll say it like this. When we think about righteousness, when we're discussing things such as righteousness, we see that what's happening is not righteous. It's a bunch of performatism, whether it's activism or performative humanitarianism. It's people pretending that they care about something to help, whether it's, other beings, people, animals, wildlife, and whatever concept that is. And it's not true. So, unfortunately, things have to not change from a way of, oh, let's make all this revolutionary change. It's an evolution. It's something that does take time. It takes ways to concentrate. It takes a matter of people working, whether it's from the kindness of their own heart or people having the structure. The ones who are working from the heart already having the structure in order to pay others. Because even when we're talking about many nonprofit organizations, people don't want to work without pay. And that's not an issue. That's not a problem. That makes sense considering how society is right now. People need money in order to survive, in order to live. So that just makes sense. So, the question of why Quadrillion, with the projects that have been in place, projects that are ongoing, projects that are going to continue going, and the network that is being built behind this. When people hear stuff like take over the world, they don't really put that into a full concept. That is like, oh my gosh, that sounds so terrible. It's like, okay, well, is it bad to help God out? In what concept do you believe in God, the Most High? Is it a negative thing to point people in the direction of, hey, so this is how we're supposed to interact with nature, and because we already have these technological advancements that are here now, this is how you either can decrease your usage or how to integrate things in a certain type of way where you're not being taken over by technology and you can use, well, the digital age, and you can still use what God gave us originally. This is how to interact with the waters. This is how to interact with the sky. There's billions of people on the planet that we know of. There's definitely more, but what we're told on record is there's billions of people on the planet. There's millions of people in multiple countries, but we'll just, we're talking about the United States. There's millions of people, hundreds of millions of people in the United States. So with that being the case, there's already several billionaires. So if they are the ones who are constructing whatever, not necessarily a narrative, but they're salesmen. So in order to sell something, you have to have some sort of propaganda for whatever it is you're selling. Otherwise, the person may not know that they may or may not desire what it is you're talking about. It could be something totally new that people won't have any idea of. So by creating an illustration of how it can be useful in some sort of way, that's the propaganda that's used to sell whatever product that is. And that is how we have billionaires. Utilizing the natural concepts versus creating some, like, we're not talking about making something up that no one needs or can use. We're talking about, hey, so the planet needs help, and this is how we can help the planet while also making a profit considering what everyone's already doing. And it just makes logical sense. versus trying to completely eradicate or destroy something that is, it's a house of cards, but at the end of the day, if you blow down the cards, you still have the cards there. So you have to either sweep up the cards or use the cards in a different way. So look at it. I got cards right here. So if people are stacking the cards up like that, or they have like square shapes and then cards fall, it's flat now, there is no more structure. That's only because the cards were used a certain type of way. So instead, use the cards to build this way. That's way more solid. Even if it falls over, you can still push it back over. And it's a more structured foundation. Rather than something looking tall, but it can fall very easily. That's the concept I mean with Quadrillion. There's a lot of structures out there with the illusion of being whatever number is put behind it, but that's not the actual truth. My name, Quadrillionaire Blockchain Derivatives Goddess. So when you look at things like derivatives, it's a big house of cards. It's an illusionary number in order to give people a perceived aspect of what the markets are doing. It's not a real number. That's why they can reach heights of things like trillion, quadrillion, multi-billion, and people are kind of like, well, where is that money then? It doesn't exist. It's not actual currency. It's the perceived concept of a currency, where what they're actually measuring is the goods in the area. Because I was about to say goods and services, but you can't measure services in that sort of way. But they're measuring the goods in whatever industry that is. That makes up the derivative. That makes up the illusionary numerical concept of it. It's a lot of economics. It's a lot of just social constructs. It's not, it's us having to fully conceptualize the fact most of this stuff is illusionary. It's not real. Social media numbers are not real. Even content on social media is not real. We're all seeing these political competitions out here. Not real. It's kind of sad. It's more real to see a work of art than it is to see someone say that they'd like to make change. What's real is the piece of art that someone made, because that is a physical form of them expressing their emotions, thoughts, and feelings, rather than someone stating plans of action and not acting on them. Because at that point, it's just a thought. There's no feeling behind it. Without those two concepts marrying each other with that thought, there's no emotion, no marriage, no child, no result. So it's not real, it's illusionary. My heart actually is kind of heavy right now. I've been doing a lot of purging and getting in touch with a lot of people for both business reasons and personal reasons. And the personal reasons really just like, it took me by shock. We're in Libra season now, so it's not as shocking, but when it was happening before, I was shocked because I'm like, yeah, I don't even be talking to people like that. I'm really just like on some by myself type of time, and that's okay. Then I got kind of thrown into this other space of connecting with people and being social. Very different. And so experiencing another situation where like I can totally see if someone disagrees with what I say, that's fine. Or if someone does not like, the idea that I may have, or, I can see someone even arguing a point that's being made that I said. That makes logical sense to me. And I'll be having to like differentiate the logical aspect of how people operate versus the emotional way that people perceive things. And that's the whole thing. Balancing as a Sagittarius Capricorn cusp, balancing the perception of life versus the actual realism of what life is. That's something that I've been learning about throughout my interactions with people. So, encountering that people, someone will value their emotions over how you treat them. So, if someone just doesn't like something, then in their minds, it's okay to, whether it's disrespect it or ignore it, even when it's necessary. So, when it's something logical that is necessary because someone dislikes it, they talk or treat that particular item or resource or individual any sort of way. I experienced that a lot personally, and it never made sense to me. And now it makes sense to me, and I had to do a lot of work to not internalize that and to not be in my emotions about it. And that's the thing. I recognize most people are in their emotions about a lot of things, and I tend to not be in my emotions about anything. And I guess that throws individuals off. So even with concepts like quadrillion, this and that, it takes an individual not taking anything personally to be able to have a concept as such, where digging into every single industry to ever exist is the only way to accumulate anything of that stature. How do you do that? And that's what we discuss in the private equity and research firm. It's as simple as that. How do you get into every single industry in order to, of course, generate the revenue, but be of influence to a stature to where it influences the masses? What type of structure has to be in place in order for that to be built and to function and to sustain itself? It's not so much who can come up with the most elaborate idea. It's also how can someone put that idea into action, produce a plan that can be shared with others so that they can either assist and or replicate it to create a ripple effect of righteousness throughout whatever it is and whatever aspect people are using as a channel. A lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are scared. And people feed on those emotions. People feed on fear. People feed on the pain. And there's some of us here who are here to heal and help mend the broken pieces that people have. We see that there's pieces over there, there's pieces over there. This person has those pieces, that person has those other pieces. So who's going to create the glue? Who's going to create the cement? Who's going to create even some tape to help put the idea together? Then you could take off the tape and then get things permanently in one piece. Glue, for example, multi-billion dollar industry. What do glue companies have? Bottles. What are bottles made of? Glass or plastic. Where do glass and plastic come from? They come from whatever resources are sourced or mined, and then they're put into manufacturing plants. Where are manufacturing plants? And where are these areas where these resources are mined or sourced from? That's called real estate, and that's called Earth. The entire planet is used as a way to produce something. Much gratitude for the 2 viewers and 2 likes. So by realizing that in order for anything to happen, it starts at the base, at the foundation. People wouldn't have glue if it wasn't for those resources that were mined or sourced, and if it wasn't for the bottles to carry the glue. And that's how you enter every single industry and create cash flow, but notoriety and influence in every single area. That's how it works. So I'll reiterate the concept of why. No one can end 100% suffering. That's not possible. Everyone's going to suffer in some sort of way for some sort of reason. What it is that we're discussing is individuals inflicting pain on others intentionally without regard on how they feel. That's what we're discussing when people talk about racism or an unfair system. That's all that means. Why do you think you're better than someone just because of the way that you look? Or who your ancestors are? Why do you feel that it's okay to weaponize something that's supposed to be used for the betterment of society, but against someone who doesn't deserve it? That hurts individuals. So our mission here is to make sure that behavior like that does not exist. We see natural disasters happening. There's people who are suffering greatly from currently Hurricane Helen's happening right now. No one did that. Wink, wink. But no one is using some power over something to hurt someone else. Wink, wink. That's a natural disaster versus someone using a weapon to inflict pain on someone else. Why do you feel the need to do that? Why do you feel the need to use your genitalia to attack someone? Why do you feel the need to use your words to mentally affect someone for the rest of their life? Why does that make sense when there's other issues to deal with? When people have to use transportation, before we had cars, we had animals, we had legs. You get tired, you got to sit down, you got to lay down. Your animals get tired, they got to sit down, they got to lay down. That's a problem because you want to get to your destination. Whereas now we have vehicles. They can go on for an unlimited amount of time to get to whatever destination as long as there's fuel. It's the same issue, just a different way of dealing with the problem. So why include a person trying to flatten someone's tires or damage someone's vehicle or break the leg of the animal or put a nail in someone's shoe while they're walking? Why? So mentally assisting people to lift themselves out of a low vibrational way of thinking to even think about doing something like that to someone else. That's our goal. That's our mission. DJ Holiday TV 414 says, so quadrillionaire if we enter all industry. Yeah. If every industry is affected by that particular, whether it's an investment or a business, that's how the concept of quadrillionaire exists, or quadrillion. That's how it exists. Even if it's not every single industry, getting up to that. A lot of people realize that they can make a quick buck doing something, but not realizing they can make many bucks doing everything. So when people talk about the concept of multiple streams of income, it's deterred away from people like Warren Buffett or others. They'll be like, well, instead of not putting all your eggs in one basket, you want to put all your eggs in one basket and watch the basket and fully know exactly what it is you're dealing with when it comes to that particular basket. Well, if we're taking Warren Buffett, for example, when it comes to that, he's in real estate and he's also an investor in life insurance and the stock market. Now, he started in real estate, but that's the thing. There's a starting point. But then once you get to levels like where he's at as a billionaire, that's when you start expanding your basket. Life insurance is a finance industry, and life insurance companies also invest in the stock market. What is the stock market? Everything. The S&P 500 is a conglomerate of 500 companies that make a lot of money in the United States. Random stuff. Just 500 of them, though. Clump them together. You can invest in the S&P 500. It's one of those things where it's like, I had to come down from my spiritual high to realize, okay, this is how you play the Matrix game, though. It's everybody wanting to beat the Matrix, but don't know how to play the game. If you don't know how to play the Matrix game, you can't beat it, let alone try to throw it down. There's a bunch of words that they make up that people don't know. And then they keep doing things that people have to learn about, that people don't know. And that's the thing, is keeping up with what is new in order to know what's necessary to get into for things to progress. And that's why we have a group of us who feel like we're always behind. But at the same time, what is the focus? The focus is not innovation. The focus is not fully, when people say things like we need to come together, it's not in a sense of just everyone being in the same location all the time. It's a matter of everyone being on one accord mentally. That's what it actually means. So if you have 1,000,000 people who have $1,000,000 ideas, that's how you can even think to get to a quadrillion. It's a matter of those 1,000,000 people working together. Does that mean that they're always in the same physical location all the time? Not at all. It's a matter of those 1,000,000 individuals cooperating with each other, sourcing the materials necessary, and growing the network in a way that makes sense. And that's what we're doing. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and close out though. I'm gonna pull some cards and then yeah, we'll leave out. I haven't used my actual tarot deck in a minute, so let's just see what comes out. Okay, let me shuffle this first. There's something going on under my heart. It's like literally under my heart, in my chest. All right, so I'm gonna put this back, but we got the 9 of Pentacles, and that's abundance. That represents abundance along with putting forth the effort necessary, but I'm still shuffling. That one just fell out.
every day.
Yeah, you did a good job.
Yeah, it looks so cute.
Let me see. My son made this.
It looks like a big little poofy rainbow sea. Let me get the other two.
Okay. All right. Finna pull now. All right. So we got the lover's card. Oh, he also made this one today. Hold on.
Yeah, got that one. So on the face, and look on the
I'm gonna show on the other side. Hold on.
Looks like a turtle. Where the Pop Tart kind of looks like a cell.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we got the lover's card with number 6. And then we have the Queen of Wands. Then we have the King of Pentacles. So, I'm okay, so that's kind of crazy and direct. The King of Pentacles has to marry the Queen of Wands. I'm gonna pull 3 more cards though. And then we have the Queen of Swords. Okay, now we have the 7 of Swords. Yeah, this is a very direct. We have the 10 of Chalices. With Oshu Mare. So let me get to the bottom of the deck first before I even say anything. We have the 4 of Swords. The King of Pentacles has to marry the Queen of Wands for there to be a happy family. The unfortunate fact of the matter with the Swords energy is there's discourse in whatever way that is, and it's not about removing the discourse, it's seeing why the discourse exists and getting to the root of the issue so that there can be harmony, which this is what this is, family harmony. And when okay, let me pull my oracle cards first. I'm going to pull 3 of these. What do you need?
Like, what? Instead of this being a plushie design, I want this to be a pillow design.
Okay, well, we can make it into a pillow, but like I said, we can make it into a pillow, but it'll be your own personal pillow, okay? Not a manufactured one.
And then this, like, maybe we can make our own stickers for us too.
Do you want to make stickers for the other things as well, or just your own personal stickers?
Well, the other things as well.
Okay, so we're adding with the plushies and the hoodies and the hats and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so we're adding stickers to it?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, too many. I don't want to get emotional. But like I said, I've been purging a lot. And oh my gosh. It's all so simple. It really is. It's all really, really simple. So, confirming everything I said. The first card that came out was the Unicorn Mountain, which is stability. It's stability. And then the next one is the Unicorn Tree, which is the roots. What do roots do? Cause stability. And I, it made me emotional when I said I've been purging a lot, and then this card came out, which is Metamorphosis. This is the unicorn butterfly. So, and then at the bottom of this deck is Harmony, the unicorn deer. So I just stated that the King of Pentacles needs to marry the Queen of Wands, which is the stability and education, essentially. And I was actually wrong. That was not the King of Pentacles. That's the Knight of Pentacles. So just to fully clarify, that's the educator. That's the one who shares information. That's the one who instills principles alongside the king, but he's a knight. The knight moves a lot faster than the king. The king is usually already set in place and set in stone. And the Knight of Pentacles came out right next to the Queen of Wands. So the one with the information, the one with the resources, the one with the know-how and the materials to make things solid, Pentacles, works with the Alchemist, the one with the magic, the one with the abilities, the Wands, on the feminine aspect. That is where the marriage happens with the Lover's card. So it takes it into a metaphysical aspect of integrating, of course, the masculine and feminine traits, which are thoughts and feelings, and making that family aspect. But in order to get to the harmonious family, you have to endure whatever sort of discourse is necessary. So you have the Queen of Swords and you have the Seven of Swords also right here, separating the family from the parental units. I'm seeing that as something to do with the patriarchy and the matriarchy. And I had a conversation with someone who was asking me essentially like what my thoughts are on that, not just my own personal thoughts, but the actual concept of matriarchy and patriarchy. So when people say things like the matriarchy is rising, they think that that means the way that we have patriarchy, where men overthrow others and inflict power over others and dominate others, is what women are going to do to people when they're in power. It's like, no, the matriarchy is having that divine harmony. The masculine has his role, the feminine has her role, and everyone's able to work in harmony without inflicting pain on someone else, without inflicting dominance over someone else. It's like saying, hey, here's how we can organize things and here's how we can do everything well, and then everyone agrees, versus a dictator being as if, hey, this is what I want to do and I'm going to make everyone do it. That's patriarchy versus matriarchy, presenting ideas and everyone agreeing to do so because it's a good idea. That's the difference. And that's what we're saying. We're moving into it is kind of old. And I only say that because what we see in the general public is not that. And I don't want to speak in a way of false hope. And I mean, because the reading is beautiful. But that's the thing. We have to make this happen. Us as a collective. And it's not just the truth of the matter. It's what's necessary. Or else we're going to keep seeing tragedies happen over and over again. Tragedies that make no sense. School shootings don't make sense. Medical malpractice does not make sense. Misdiagnosis even does not make sense. I can see how someone can make a mistake. However, when that someone is police brutality, when that someone is an individual who's being paid to specifically do a job, there's room for mistakes. When it comes to humanity, there's not room for mistakes when it comes to the profession. Why is someone being paid to be a professional when they're not doing their job properly? Why do humanitarians have to exist? Why do nonprofit organizations have to exist if those who are in certain professions were doing their job properly while getting paid? Why does a farmer have to get rid of their surplus? Why is it not readily available for a surplus to be used for those who cannot afford to pay? Okay, well, if they can't afford to pay and the surplus is just going to be given to them, what's the point of paying for anything at all? Good point. What is the point of anyone paying for anything at all? So we're just going to throw away the surplus? The goods that people need? We're not talking about luxuries here. It's a necessity. It's something useful. It's something that prevents people from dying, actually. So sure, thinking in a mindset or mind state of, well, if no one's going to pay for that, then what's the point of paying it all? Well, when you look at it that way, you have to address corrupt capitalism. It's okay to exchange goods and items and services for currency. That's okay. That's always existed. Whether you're exchanging energy for resources, bartering or trading, or a specific agreed upon fiat currency for whatever it is you're acquiring, that form of energetic exchange has always existed. It used to exist purely with nature. Now here we are. Instead of being in these thought forms of what used to be and trying to recreate that, it's working with what exists now, how to reform it in a way that makes sense all the way for everyone versus trying to completely destroy something that someone else built. Isn't that how we got here in the first place? People destroying what other people built, and now there's just corruption everywhere. Rather than working with a pure heart and a divine state of mind and intentionally touching others in a way that benefits them. Does that mean doing things for free? Not all the time. It can mean that sometimes. I'm seeing that this may mean that people may need to go into solitude, and not in a way of, no, that's crazy. Not in a way of being alone and just thinking to be alone. Okay, hold up. I'm not even trying to be a certain type of way, but up under this card was this tree. And then up under that was justice. So we have the Ace of Wands, and then we have justice. It's Libra season right now. So like I said, this is the roots. So we got the tree with the tree. Getting to the actual foundation, getting back to the soil, because it could just be a tree by itself, but we had it following the stability card. So you have its roots. We're not just talking about the fruit of a tree. We're talking about where does the tree come from? Get back to the soil. What's in the soil? We have the butterfly here. Insects. The microorganism kingdom matters. Talking to all beings. That's what matters. I could talk to y'all people all day. I could talk to humanoid beings all day. But if I'm not talking to ladybugs, if I'm not talking to ants, if I'm not talking to any sort of creature that helps me, then what's the point? What's the point of this faulty symbiotic relationship if we're destroying all beings and not crediting them with having a spirit or a soul? I don't know. I don't really get what anyone's doing anymore. Like, I am working on a lot of things and it's more corporate. Like I said a long time ago, I'm just going more corporate with how I'm approaching everything now, because having discussions about what we consider to be spirituality, I think that people have lost the concept of what it meant to be spiritual and to be woke. Like, we can have our spiritual practices and we can have our aspect of looking at the world versus the narrative that's being pushed to people. At the end of the day, I don't think people get it anymore. Even those who do spend time in nature or have those connections, it's like being in these physical vessels has made people forget too much. So even when they do remember, or they do get enlightened, or they do have some sort of flashback coming back to this space, just kind of fucks them up. And then nothing is based on nature anymore, when everything is nature. What is dirt and soil? Real estate, ground. That's why grounding is essential. And I'm not trying to go off on a tangent on like some spiritual woo woo stuff. I'm just saying, what was the point of all this? What is the point of all this? It's interesting. It's just, I just find it interesting. I find it really interesting. Um, but yeah, this is what I mean by quadrillion. And I have a lot of stuff in store for individuals who do want to work with me. And it's not in a sense of don't work with me if you don't actually give a fuck and want to put in work. You know? It's one of those things, because it won't make sense to you. It's one of those things where you'll benefit from it eventually. Or if you don't, your children, if you have any, will. Your relatives that are younger will. And that's okay. If I'm only meant to reach the next generation, if this mission is only meant to assist those who come after, then that's okay. Sitting on cameras and speaking in microphones has not cut it. And the more information that comes out, or the more narratives that come out about the fact that a lot of this stuff only existed the past 300 to 500 years and there's no 2000 year nothing, I'm like, so how was everyone kept away from the truth so long then, if a lot of this stuff just happened? If that's the case, okay then, let's go. Let's get to where we need to be. Let's stop talking about it and let's be. But yeah. Oh, I didn't see this one. DJ Holiday says, so since our people need to be one accord, how powerful are NDAs? your signature is the power. So if I'm reading that acronym correctly, it's a non-disclosure agreement. That's what you mean? And that's a contract. That's an agreement. We have those because the whole rhetoric, your word is your bond, does not exist anymore. Now, we need contracts and agreements with a signature. Because verbal contracts are at this point null and void. So, when we have everyone on one accord with signatures, that's the power. What do you think the Declaration of Independence is? I'm finna go. Shalom, Unicorns. I will see you in the next one. We just have 4 viewers and 4 likes. Much gratitude for y'all. Thawada, and that means thank you in Hebrew.